Hurricane Beryl is heading towards Jamaica, and it looks really pretty serious. I'm going to share with you 12 quick tips here to protect your IT system. Now, these tips will help to save you a lot of money and a lot of, the headache post hurricane, post Beryl. All right. I'm Roger. Thank you for stopping by again. And please remember, like, share, and subscribe. Now, the first tip that I have for you is to back up your data. Back up your data in the cloud. Also, back up your data locally. When you back up your data locally, make sure you take those backup copies, the storage devices, and put them in a waterproof bag. And take those bags. If you don't have a fireproof cabinet, put those bags in somewhere that will be considered relatively safe. The second tip is your power contingency. There's a very strong possibility that during the event we will lose electricity supply from the grid. In Jamaica here, it is JPS. So you want to make sure that based on what it is that you are doing, or the system that you have, if it is a business place, you may find that you may need to power down the equipment. Because one of the things that we find too is that during such an event, or the lead up to the major part of the event, you may find that the light fluctuates, and that can potentially damage your equipment. You have to bear that in mind. If you're able to get outside there and grab things like some voltage regulators, UPSs, and do a quick thing, you perhaps may want to do that. But as I said, in some situations you may find that you may not need to completely power them down. And bear in mind, and of course, you have to bear in mind that you will have things like security cameras that you use on the premises. Okay. So power contingency, that's one. It also means that going into the future, you have to look at your power contingency. Getting something like a reasonably sized UPS that will be able to power the unit, your IT infrastructure, for a reasonable amount of time. Thirdly, you need to do a physical inspection of the building. So whether it is at home or business place, do physical inspections. You need to check the building itself. Here now you're looking at things like the doors, the windows. You need to check the roof, test the integrity of them. You may need to reinforce particular areas. Okay, and of course, you may need to cover the computers also. So you can get things like garbage bags and put your computers in, so that, if, for instance, the roof is blown off, you minimize the water damage. Fourthly, run updates. So you want to run your updates before and prior to the event, because there's a possibility, as I mentioned before, we may lose electricity supply, we may lose telecommunication service. So you may want to run the updates before you possibly close for the day. Like today, Tuesday, a lot of places will be closed like at midday. All right. Number 5 on my list is to develop a communication strategy for your team. So whether at home, or let's say at home, I mean within your household, yes, and with other family members that will be at a distance from you. Also, you want to have a communication system with your workers. So work out some strategy. Who you're going to keep in touch, and you need to have like a fail-safe system too. So let us say that system A fails, communication system fails, then you have perhaps system B that will kick in. Number 6, document. So you want to document your IT system prior to the event. So prior to you shutting down and battening down before tomorrow, Wednesday, when we expect Hurricane Beryl to start impacting the island, you want to as I mentioned before, document your IT system. So go through, do an inventory. Also, document the configurations, settings on the machine. So post hurricane, if you need to do things like reinstallation, for instance, you know what the settings were before. Number 7, you want to test your backup system. So here now, I'm referring to 2 systems. So your data backup system and your power backup system. You want to test them. But you don't want to have a situation where you have these systems in place and you think that they are okay, and during the event, for instance, your backup system is not working, as in your power backup system, your electricity backup system is not working. You don't want to have an event like that. Okay, so test the backup system before. Number 8, your security camera systems are to be inspected. So you need to get outside get outside in particular, and you need to do a physical inspection of the security camera system. So you want to inspect the cameras themselves, you want to inspect the moat, you want to inspect the conduit, or some persons use trunking. So inspect the entire system. In some situations, you may find that it may be best to remove the units, as in the cameras, because based on where they are and the type of cameras, it may be, or they may be destroyed or ripped out during the event. Number 9 is lead up to what I just mentioned before. You may need to reinforce some of these things. You may need to reinforce things like the mounts, for instance, and the cables, because I know that in some situations there are situations where persons do not have the cables in any housing. It's just a raw cable that is outside there. All right, that's what number 9. Number 10, a lead up to what I just said before, is you want to do also a physical inspection of the immediate areas around the building. So you want to inspect. No, I'm talking about the telecommunication system here now. So you want to inspect your telephone line, that fiber line. You want to inspect them so that you may have, let us say, tree limbs, branches that overhang those lines. And of course, during such an event, the possibility exists that you can have them being torn down, and tearing down your telephone line, your fiber line. So you may need to get those trimmed prior to the event. Okay, and of course you want to minimize as much as possible the risk associated with such an event. So that's number, where am I now? Looking at my list. Number 10. Number 11, you may also need to remove some of these things. So things like the antenna. I know that some persons, based on where they are, based on their location, they don't get telephone lines into their community, or fiber lines. What their system is wireless, so they use things like an antenna, or a dish. Those, again, I think there's a strong possibility that those may be ripped out, and especially during the high winds. So you may need to make a decision to remove them completely, and then you remount them after the event. And finally, you need to check. You need to be keeping abreast of what is happening with the weather. So you need to make sure you have your app, listen to the bulletins, and using those now to guide the decisions as you go along. Okay, so just want to leave those 12 tips with you, which are designed to save you a lot of headache and money, post hurricane. All right, I want to encourage you to keep safe. Make sure you take the necessary precautionary steps to protect yourself, your family, neighbors, and property during and after also the event. All right, see you again in the next video. Please remember, like, share, and subscribe. Take care.